Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, Glorious Eggmaster coming at you today with another Fire Emblem Heroes related video. So I was editing a Path of Radiance Let's Play, I realized I wasn't going to get it done today, so I was like, you know what, let's make a video that I've been wanting to make for quite some time. I'm sure there's been similar videos like this made previously. I don't think it's an original concept, but I kind of wanted to give my take on it. So after the banner that was released today, I think a lot of people in the Fire Emblem Heroes community are very tired of the constant alts that they keep releasing, especially when they've been waiting, you know, maybe years for their favorite characters to be added to the game. So what I did was that I went and made a list compiled of the 50 most popular Fire Emblem characters that have not yet been added to Heroes. I got Ogim to help me out a little bit. For the data, I used the results from the second Choose Your Legend popularity poll. I know it's not the Bible when it comes to measuring popularity, but it's sort of the only thing we really got. So I think it gives us somewhat of an indicator of what characters people want to get out into the game. And I also think that the developers of the game do use that list to make decisions regarding what characters they release. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to go through them one by one. And I'm going to be giving my opinions on what kind of weapons I think they should have and sort of what color they should have if it's a little bit unclear. Also, before we start this list, I would like to add that I'm not including characters that are in the game but not playable, such as Veronica. This list only includes characters that are popular and have been voted on in the Legends poll, but have not appeared in the game at this point in any circumstances. So just keep this in mind. So, clocking in at number 50, we got Sain from Fire Emblem 7 Blazing Sword. I'm actually really surprised Sain and Kent haven't been added to the game yet, because they're such an iconic Cavalier duo. You know, they were, for a lot of us, the first pair of Cavaliers that we encountered. But there are sort of a lot of Cavaliers in the game already, and it might be difficult, I think, for Sain to find a spot there. But if he was to be added, I'm pretty sure he would be a blue Lance Cav, and he would have to have the Brave Lance. He'd need to be a total glass cannon, I think, because that's the whole gimmick of Sain, you know. In the tutorial, Ken scolds him for not wielding a sword, even though he's facing an axe user, and Sain goes like, but the lance is more heroic. So yeah, he'd totally need to use a lance. Coming in at 49, we have Rutger from Binding Blade, everyone's favorite edgelord. Very similar to Navarre and Long Ku and those other characters that have already been added to the game, but I think Rutger would be a nice addition to the game for sure. I think he'd definitely need to wield a slaying edge or something edgy like that, and he'd need to be like super fast. Coming in at number 48, we have Idunn from Binding Blade, aka the final boss. And considering we just got a lot of dragon units, I don't see them adding Idunn to the game anytime soon. But I imagine she'd be a colorless dragon, similar to female Fel Robin. And she'd probably focus a lot on dragon buffs. She'd have a lot of dragon buff skills, considering her whole gimmick is that she creates dragons. Coming in at 47, we have Emmeryn, now from Awakening. Emmeryn is of course playable, sorry, spoiler, if you unlock the free DLC. And she's a sage, so I imagine she would most likely be a green mage. And I think she would have a lot of buff-oriented skills. And one skill in particular that I think would suit Emmeryn really well would be the skill Ardent Sacrifice. Because, you know, she's all about the sacrifice. Coming in at 46, we got Silque from Fire Emblem Echoes. And Silque, I think, would just be a normal healer. But what I think would be really cool with Silque would be if she had a sort of a Mila's Turn Wheel special skill that allowed you to maybe remove her once per turn, or maybe make your turn again by clicking her or something after she was done moving. I'm not entirely sure how you'd implement this sort of mechanic, but I think it would really suit her. Maybe make it so that you can't inherit it, so that it's unique to her, because of course in the story, Silque is the one who gives you the Mila's Turn Wheel, so that would be kind of cool, and she needs something to put her aside from the other healers. Coming in at number 45, we have Mikoto from Fire Emblem Fates, aka Corrin's mama. Now, in the game, she is a Shrine Maiden, and she wields a bow. So I think she would most likely be a colorless bow, or maybe a red bow. I'm not quite sure. But I think she would definitely be focused a lot on buff skills. Very similar to Emmeryn, I'd also give her 8 Ardent Sacrifice. I think that would be a skill that would really suit her. So sort of like an archer with a lot of buff skills, and maybe some healing. Coming in at 44, we got Caeldori, aka the Cordelia clone from Fire Emblem Fates. And I think Caeldori would be very similar to her mother. She'd be a blue lance flyer with probably a very similar toolkit. If you look at the if you look at Rajat, is that her name, and the other clones, they are usually somewhat similar to the characters that they clone, but a little bit different. In most cases, they're a little bit better because of power creep, but yeah. Coming in at 43, we have Knoll. I usually call him Knoll. That's just my pronunciation. I know that pisses off a lot of guys. I know it's Knoll. And, of course, we all know that Erica kind of stole his tome. But if he was added to the game, which I don't think he will be, because I think Erica was like, no, fuck you, we're adding Erica instead. But if he was to be added into the game, I mean, his tome is already there, so they could just give him Erica's Amnesia tome, and I think that would suit him pretty well. Coming in at 42, we got Urk from Blazing Sword. I don't really know what you do with Urk. He'd be either a blue or a red tome. Like, in the game, he comes with a Thunder tome, I do believe, and Thunder is usually blue. So I think a blue tome would fit him, but at the same time, he'd also fit equally well as a red tome user. I'm not really sure. I don't really have a strong opinion on Urk one way or the other. Coming in at 41, we have Mila from Fire Emblem Echoes. Now, Mila isn't playable, so we don't really have an indication of what sort of, like, we know what she would be. Like, she'd be a Manakit naturally, but we never really see her stats in the game. But I imagine she'd be a green dragon, and she'd probably be very similar to Tiki, since they are sort of related. Coming in at 40, we got another dragon. We got Naga from Fire Emblem Fates. Although I don't know if Naga and Nagi are the same characters. Nagi from Shadow Dragon, I don't think they are. But yeah, I'd also imagine Naga would probably be a red dragon and would probably also have a similar toolkit to Tiki, I can imagine. Coming in at 39, we got another dragon girl. We got Na, the daughter of Noe from Awakening. And again, since she is the daughter of Noe, I imagine she would most likely be a blue dragon with a toolkit similar to her mother. Coming in at number 38, we got Silas from Fire Emblem Fates, the friendly cavalier. He would obviously be a blue lance cav, though I personally would like for him to have sort of like a javelin, similar to Dorcas's personal weapon, the Stout Tomahawk. A javelin lance with distant counter built in or something, because in Fates, Silas comes with the only javelin that you get, at least in Birthright, if I remember correctly, via conventional means. So that makes him pretty important. I like Silas a lot, but he's a bit bland, and I think they're gonna have difficulties finding a spot for him, considering the huge amount of blue lance cavs that we have in the game. Coming in at 37, we got Nailah, aka the Wolf Queen Legoose from Radiant Dawn. Now, we don't have beast units in the game. A lot of people think they're gonna be added soon. I think they are sort of working out a way to add them into the game. If they get added into the game, I imagine they'll be pretty similar to the dragon units. AKA, I don't think they'll be transforming in and out of beast form or anything like that. I think they'll just work just like the dragon units. And when they add the beast units, they'll probably also add beast effective weapons. Maybe some of the tomes will be effective against beast units, kind of like fire tomes are effective against Legoose in Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance. But I was thinking about what color she should be, and I think she would be a colorless beast unit. And the reason why I say that is, when I think of the Legoose, I think the cats would most likely be red units, I think the tigers would be blue, and I think the birds would be green. And that leaves the Wolf Legoose. And the Wolf Legoose are sort of kind of like the black sheep of the Legoose family. They kind of didn't get brought in until Radiant Dawn. So I imagine colorless would be a good option for them, especially considering they're sort of like grayish and blackish in colors. I think colorless would be a good color for them. But that's just my opinion. Coming in at 36, we got Forrest, the son of Leo from Fates. And I'm a little bit torn here whether or not he should be a mounted healer with a heal staff, or if he should be a mounted mage wielding the Brynhildr like his father. Because of course in the game he comes as a troubadour with a heal staff, but in Heirs to Fate I know that he wields the Brynhildr, so a bit unsure. I think either would work well. At number 35 we have Ross from Sacred Stones. Probably the favorite child unit, maybe next to Amelia, I'm not really sure. And when I say child unit, I mean the trainee units, you know, the 3 trainees in that game, Amelia, Ross, and Ewan. And I imagine that he would probably come with a slaying axe or something along those lines. Coming in at 34, we have Noire. Noire? No, I used to call her Noire, but I know that's not how you pronounce it. But Noire, it's French, I think. I don't really know what I would give Noire. Maybe, I'm pretty sure she'd be a colorless bow, just a regular archer. You know, she has big tits, so I know that they would love to add her into the game because they love tits. We've seen that time and time again. She'd be nice for fan service reasons. And I think that maybe slaying bow or something along those lines. I'm not really sure what fits her. She comes with a steel bow in the game as an archer, so she doesn't really have a weapon that's unique to her in any way. But I imagine she would have some sort of skills that, I don't know, gave her penalties whenever Tharia is near. That'd be kind of fun. Coming in at 33, we have the Dark Mage Nyx from Fire Emblem Fates. And I think Nyx, I mean, me and Mina have discussed a lot that it would be really cool if there was like a Nosferatu tome in the game that drained life. So I think that would be kind of cool to add. I mean, we already have a sort of a healer attack that drains and Absorb Plus. So if Nyx could come into the game as a red tome unit, it would be kind of cool if she had some sort of life-draining Nosferatu tome that worked kind of similar. Maybe it'd be a bit broken, but I'm sure they could balance it somehow. Also, Nyx is sort of like the lolly character of Fate, so we know she's really popular. Coming in at number 32, we have Pent. Now, Pent, of course, I think if they're going to add him into the game, it's most likely going to be together with Louise in some sort of married banner. But I am pretty sure that Pent would most likely be a blue tome unit, either blue or red. I mean, he comes with an Elfire tome, but he seems to default to the Thunder tome most of the time. And I think Pent's color scheme suits a blue mage better, because he has sort of a blue color scheme going on. So I think blue would be a nice color for him. Coming in at 31, we have Quan from Fire Emblem 4. Of course, we all know that Quan would be a blue Lance Cav and he would wield the Gayborg. That is, you know, a given, and that would be pretty cool as well. Honestly, I'm very surprised they haven't added Quan yet, because especially when they've been adding a lot of Tracia characters lately, so I was very surprised to see him not in the mix there, because Quan is a ridiculously cool character, and I know that his design would be absolutely gorgeous. And especially since we got Sigurd, we got Eldigan, and it would be cool to have Quan there too, because they're sort of like the original trio. So I'd love that. Coming in at 30, we got Python. And Python, he's a pretty cool character, but something tells me that they're not going to add a lot of Echo's characters. I just don't think they're going that way. I mean, they seem to be mostly done with Echo's characters. We've only got, like, Cecilia. Not Cecilia, Silque. And, but if he was added into the game, I imagine he would most likely be a colorless bow, and he'd probably have something boring like a silver bow, or maybe one of the Echo's legendary bows. It's difficult to say, really. Python doesn't really have a specific skill set, although he is kind of known for not having a lot of skill, which is kind of weird because in Heroes you hit anyway, so I'm not sure how you do that. Just make him slow or something? I don't know. Coming in at number 29, we got Conrad. God, I think he is so bland. God, is there a more boring Echoes characters than Conrad, really? I don't know why he's so popular. I don't really know what you'd give him. I just make him a blue lance cap with a silver lance, because I honestly don't know what you'd give this guy. What's the deal with Conrad? I never got what's so cool about this guy. I never got it. I just think he's so boring. Coming in at 28, we got Rath. Now, Rath, I feel like Lyn, we've gotten so many Lyns, but I feel like when we got Brave Lyn, Rath would have fit that position so much better. He'd be a Boka, I think, very similar to Lyn. He'd be very fast, have a lot of attack. And it would be cool if he wielded the, I'm probably going to butcher his pronunciation, but the Rheinflench from, the legendary bow from Fire Emblem 7. It would be cool if he wore that. That'd be a pretty cool weapon for him to use. If not, I think a Brave Bow would work very fine on him. Coming in at 27, we got Reyson. Now, I'm going to say something about the Path of Radiance / Radiant Dawn characters. We have added, like I had Augame help me with this, we have added up the votes. So, for example, with Reyson, he's got a lot of votes split between his Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn character. A lot of the Tellius characters have this. And I think that it's not fair to rate them individually. I think it's fair to tally their votes together, because when a casual person goes in and votes for Reyson, I don't think he thinks a lot about whether or not he votes for the Path of Radiance incarnation or Radiant Dawn incarnation of Reyson. And they're pretty similar because it's just a couple years apart in the game. So we did tally the votes together for many of the Tellius characters, because I think that's just fair. So Reyson clocks in at number 27. And again, he'd be a beast unit because he's a Lagoose. But I think either he'd be a green flying beast unit with a dance, like a beast dancer, or colorless. I think I'd make the Herons green. I think green fits the Herons. Because of course the wolves are the colorless ones, but he'd work either as a colorless or a green unit, I think, and just a beast unit that can dance. Not sure if I should make him a flyer. I mean, he can fly when he transforms, and he got wings and he flaps around, so I'm not sure. Probably a flyer. yeah, I think that would make sense. Coming in at number 26, we got Cormag from Sacred Stones. And Cormag, of course, he's an absolute tank. He'd be a blue flyer, probably with the Slaying Lance, I think, because he comes with a Killer Lance in the game. And he'd need to have like a crap ton of defense and attack. He'd probably be a little slow though, but he'd be really hard hitting. I think Cormag has a really cool design as well, and I'd love to see him in the game. Coming in at 25, and I don't get this one at all. Lilith, why? Like, what does Lilith do other than eat your food in Fates and kill herself? I don't get this at all, but if Lilith was to be in the game, I imagine she'd be a blue dragon flyer, and she'd probably be very buff-oriented. She'd have some healing skills, and she'd be very focused on buffing other units around her, because that's sort of her job, you know, she's a supportive unit. Coming in at number 24, we got Canas from Blazing Sword, and I think it would be really cool if he was a red tome unit, either with an Nosferatu tome, or even more cool, he could have the Gespensed tome. I think that would suit him really well. The Gespensed tome is, of course, the legendary tome from Fire Emblem 7. Actually, I'm not sure if it's legendary. It drops from one of the morphs in the final chapter, but it's a really cool tome, and I think he would be really cool with it. Coming in at number 23 is Lethe from Path of Radiance / Radiant Dawn. And again, I'd say that I'd make the cat red. I think red is a nice color for the cats to be. So she'd be a red beast. Tons of speed, obviously. She'd need to be super fast. So, and of course, people love cat girls. So I really think they should add her to the game when beast units come in. Coming in at number 22, we got Ilyana, aka my Telius waifu. Actually, I'm not sure. Is she my Telius waifu? I don't know. I really like Ilyana, though. She's gorgeous. I'm not sure if she's my Telius waifu. I think Kalil's my Telius waifu, which Kalil is not on this list, which makes me really, really sad. But yeah, she'd be a colorless / green beast dancer flyer. Kind of similar to Reyson, but maybe a bit frailer. I imagine Reyson would have more bulk than Ilyana. Maybe Ilyana would have more resistance, because she's sort of like a magical wall in the game. Coming in at number 21, we got Flora from Fire Emblem Fates, aka the Hot Maid. Honestly, I don't really have much to say here. I mean, we already have a Felicia who's pretty similar to Flora, but I imagine Flora would most likely... I'm not actually really sure what separates Felicia and Flora in the game. I think Flora has more magic than Felicia. So, yeah. I don't really have much to say here, other than the fact that Flora is smoking hot. Coming in at number 20, we got one of my least favorite female characters in Fates. We got Rinkah. Now, Rinkah would obviously be very tanky, and I imagine she would be a green unit, but she'd wield sort of like a special flame club or something like that. Maybe similar to something along the lines that Sutra had. Maybe a flame club that with a built-in savage blow that does fire damage to everyone around her or something along those lines. Would be kind of cool. Coming in at number 19, we got Nils from Blazing Sword. Now, we already got Ninian, and Nils and Ninian are sort of twins. I have seen a lot of people who says that he should be a green dragon dancer, since Ninian's the blue one, but Nils is an ice dragon, so I think it wouldn't make a lot of sense to make him anything but a blue dragon dancer to me. But he could sort of have a different skill set compared to Ninian. Maybe he'd be a bit more buff-oriented, maybe a bit more durable than Ninian. I'm not sure. Coming in at number 18, we got Rinea from Fire Emblem Echoes, and she's not playable in the game, and she doesn't really have stats in the game, you know, until the incidents. And of course, we want her pre-incident, I think. I think if she showed up as a pile of ash, I think a lot of people would be kind of sad about that. So I think before the accident, I think she was most likely a priestess. At least that's what it looks like to me, because she has priestess skills in the game. So I imagine she would just be a healer. Don't really know what to say here. There's not much to say about Rinea, aside from the fact that she's Perkut's wife. She's really hot, though. Coming in at number 17, I'm so happy she's at number 17. We got Louise, aka my waifu, aka the best waifu from Blazing Sword. And she's actually number 17 on characters that have the most votes that are yet to be added into the game. Can't imagine why she's so high. Must have been, she's probably just really popular or something, I imagine. And as far as Louise, I don't really think she'd be a super interesting unit, but I imagine she'd be a colorless bow. And as much as I would love for her to wield like the Rhineflench or a special bow, the silver bow sort of is her iconic weapon. She's depicted in her official art wielding the silver bow, and it is sort of the weapon she comes equipped with, and she's sort of like a noblewoman, so the silver bow plus is probably the weapon of choice for her. And I imagine as a unit she'd have like a lot of resistance and speed, but very low attack and defense. And she'd most likely have skills like Mirror Strike or something like that. She'd be a mage killer. Coming in at number 16, we got Ilyana from the Telius games. Ilyana, of course, very popular. Can't imagine why. Must be something about her personality. She'd be a blue tone because she's a thunder wielder in the Lethe series, and of course blue equals thunder, so that's a pretty simple one. I'm not sure if she should come with like maybe the what's the epic thunder tome called? Is it Excalibur? I can never remember. Is that the wind tome? I don't remember. But yeah, she'd most likely be a blue thunder mage. Coming in at number 15, and I'm really surprised they haven't added this one yet, is Jill from the Lethe series, and I imagine Jill would be a very fast flyer. Probably maybe come with a personal weapon, maybe a poleaxe that's effective against cavalry or something along those lines would be kind of nice. Again, Jill is just so popular, I'm really surprised they haven't added her yet. We don't got that many Wyverns in the game, but she'd be kind of like, she'd be hopefully better than Churchill Jerome, because they're pretty bad. Coming in at 14, we got Lewyn? I always called him Lewyn, but Lewyn, I'm going to call him Lewyn. Lewyn from Fire Emblem 4, Genealogy of the Holy War. And Lewyn, of course, with the addition of Ishtar, I think it would be a crime not to add Lewyn, because of course he wields the mighty Forseti. He'd be a green tome user for sure, and the Forseti would need to be broken as fuck, giving like he'd need to be the fastest character in the game. If they add Lewyn, he needs to have more speed than anyone else. Just speed for days. Coming in at number 13, we have another character that I am really surprised they have not added into the game yet, and that is Haar. Haar from the Lethe series. Probably one of the most popular Wyvern Lords in the series. Mainly because he's a pretty good unit, but also I think because he's just such a likable guy. And I imagine Haar would be super tanky, but also very, very slow. But he'd be a flying axe unit for sure, a flying green unit, and I think a brave axe would fit him well, considering he doesn't hit he's not very fast, but he's super tanky and very, very strong. Coming in at number 12, we have another beast unit. There's a lot of these guys, by the way, aka Veloria from Fire Emblem Fates, and I imagine it's a bit difficult to judge. You know, you got the foxes and you got the wolves, and I imagine that the foxes would be red and the wolves would be blue. It just seems logical to me. I don't know why, it just makes sense. So I imagine she would be a blue beast. I don't really got a lot to say about Veloria because I never used her, so I'm not really sure what she would be like in the game, but she's a blue beast unit. That's what I've decided. Coming in at number 11, we got Ophelia, also one of the most popular child units in Fates. I cannot imagine why. Also can't imagine why they haven't included her. I mean, we all know they love tits, and yeah, she'd give them plenty of fan service opportunities, to say the least. And she should come with the Mistletoe tome. That would just make sense. Coming in at number 10, we got Sumia from Fire Emblem Awakening, aka the clumsy Pegasus Knight that bakes pies. And Agim actually made a comment here. I said that she would probably be a blue lance unit, but Agim said that she should be like a blue flyer, or a colorless flying unit, because, you know, she can become a Falcon Knight, and there's already a shit ton of blue lance Pegasus Knights in the game, and it would kind of be cool if she was a colorless healer. Coming in number 9, we got Maribel. And honestly, from Awakening, I've done a spotlight on Maribel. I think she's pretty cool, but I don't see them adding her. She's just too similar to Clarine, but she's undoubtedly very popular. But she'd be a colorless mounted healer, probably very similar to Nana and Clarine, and Priscilla. Don't really know what she would have to put herself apart from them, but people want Maribel, that's very clear, considering she's gotten a shit ton of votes. Coming in number 8, we got Caden, and Caden, being a fox, I'd imagine he'd be a red beast unit. Caden, of course, there's so many Legoose characters on here, Legoose/beast type characters. People really want beast units in the game, so I imagine they're just gonna have to add them sooner or later. I don't know what's taking them so long. Coming in number 7, another beast unit, we got Pan from Awakening, and she's sort of like a unique, she's a bit of yeah, she's been unique as far as beast units goes, because she's a Taguel, which has only appeared in Awakening, and I imagine the Taguel are probably, you know, if foxes are red and wolves are blue, I imagine that the Taguels would probably be green, you know? So I'm just gonna list her down as a green beast unit. I figure that would probably suit her the most. I don't like Pan. I don't really know why she's so popular. Actually, I do know, but I always thought she was a really weird unit. Coming at number 6 is Aversa. And Aversa is, you know, come on, she's basically licensed to print orb money. Why have you not added Aversa yet? We all know that the developers of Heroes loves, like, big titty mommy dark ladies. I mean, just look at what they did to Ursula. I mean, if they did this to Ursula, can you imagine what they would do with Aversa? Like, I think her tits would be like Loki tier. So obviously she's a Dark Falcon in Awakening, so she could be a Red Tome Flyer, and she'd probably, you know, come with the Nosferatu Tome or something along those lines. I don't really care what she would come with. Just put her in the game, cause tits and orbs, you know, just get her in there. At number 5, we have Keaton, another beast unit. Again, people really like Keaton, and again, as I said, the wolf skins, I'd imagine they would be blue beast units, and they're sort of more tanky than the foxes. I imagine Keaton would be sort of a tank. Coming in number 4, we got Ranulf. Now, Ranulf is very high on the list. He may not be very high on the vote list itself, but he has a lot of votes split between the Path of Radiance and the Radiant Dawn version of himself. So he's actually number 4. And again, being a cat, he would definitely be a red beast unit. He'd probably be really fast, but probably a bit stronger than Lethe, I imagine. But yeah, Ranulf, super popular guy. I think people would really be very excited about seeing him in the game. Now, coming in at number 3 is Cliff. Cliff from Fire Emblem Echoes. Now, a lot of people have been debating what are the canonical classes of the different villagers, and I think everyone can probably agree that Cliff would be a mage, because that's what most people reclass him into in Gaiden and Echoes. So I imagine he would be a green mage with the Excalibur, because of course his signature spell sort of is the Excalibur spell, because I think he's the only one among the villagers that can learn Excalibur, so that's what most people go for. Coming in at number 2, we got another beast unit. Again, a lot of beast units here. We got Tibarn. Now, Tibarn, insanely popular. Got so many votes between his Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn self. And I imagine he would be a green beast flyer. As I said, the Bird Lagoose would probably be green units. And just super tanky, super strong, and probably really fast. Like, I don't know, Tibarn's so OP in the game. How do you balance him as a hero's unit? You can't just give hhim high everything. I imagine his resistance would suck, but he'd need to have high everything else. So he'd just be super broken. Maybe have like a Pavai skill or something along those lines. And coming in at number 1, the unit that the most people want to see in Heroes, and I think only being held back by her unit type, it is everyone's favorite cat/fox girl. It is Silque. Now Silque, she has such a huge following. Can't imagine why. I guess the Fire Emblem community is filled with furries. Yes, I know, just having ears doesn't make you a furry, but she literally transforms into a fox. Anyway, we're not gonna have the furry debate here. I also like Silque, by the way. I think she's gorgeous, so I'm not gonna go into that debate. So yeah, Silque is the most popular character that have yet been added into the game. So there's a shit ton of beast units on this list, and I think it's about time that they add beast units into the game. I'm not sure if it's just laziness or what it is, but I think that they're really holding off on adding all these units into the game because they just don't want to include another unit into the meta, because that means they gotta create like beast slayers. It means they have to make a lot of new weapons and stuff like that, so I don't know. One thing is for sure though, I know that there's a lot of money in making alts, but I think the community as a whole, I mean, the Fire Emblem Heroes community is always salty, but I feel like it's gonna reach a point where people will start to get really pissed off if they just add Tharias and Lins into the game. They need to take some chances and add some of these insanely popular units into the game that people have been waiting for a very long time, instead of adding 5 different versions of the same character. I think it's a very cowardly thing to do, and it kind of symbolizes sort of that they don't like taking chances, if that makes sense. So that would certainly be nice. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. These were the 50 most popular characters that have not been added into Fire Emblem Heroes. Sorry for no Path of Radiance today, but I needed a little bit of a break from the editing. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a like and a comment if you do, and let me know, among the characters of this list, who do you mostly want to see get added to Fire Emblem Heroes. My name's been Mangs. This video, like and a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!